Oh, hello. What a perfect time to start. Just as Jamie tells me it's terrible framing. uh, Let me go ahead and adjust this so that she is.
How do you know that our mics are working?
Originally it showed stuff, but now I don't know. Now we're just going to go off of the hope and prayer. Actually, why don't you hold on for a second and I will check.
Wow, look at all of our trash boxes.
Oh, yep, our mic works. Okay. All right. So you may be wondering, what the hell are we looking at here? You are looking at our really messy office because the kids are home and they are doing an online course, and we are allowing them to use their comfortable air-conditioned studio while we
with the nice camera.
Yeah, while we're stuck
the
here.
mics.
And this is my messy area, just so let the record show. Jamie's area is much nicer, but she doesn't have the setup for this. So we're here in my, this is what I'm working around. And so some of you may be wondering why I seem like I'm all out of sorts. Well, it's because I am out of sorts. I haven't had a chance to clean up. But we're here. This is our workaround. We don't have our cool intro music and stuff. We're like literally working off of the computer. So we're using like what is this? The
What?
What
are you talking about?
These graphics were part of the company's thing, not ours. We didn't make it.
So that R has nothing to do with us.
No.
Hi, Brian.
Oh, Brian's here. There was no. Yeah. Sorry, Brian. So as we were explaining, we don't have our typical setup in computer because the kids are using it for their class. So we have like no control here. It's like super bare bones. And all we had was
update that loop. Isn't it old?
It is
so boring.
Let's go and update that. We have so many good videos now.
I know, but
you don't have time.
A little bit.
Yeah, you don't have time either. But yeah, we're just using these template borders to make it look a little more fun. But I think the trash overwhelms the fun. But casual Thursday, yes. As you can see, we are rocking our casual attire. Before we get started, I guess I just got to vent. I don't know what's going on, but like every day this week, I've had a minimum 5 scam calls or spam robocalls. And it's always like in the middle of something that I'm doing that's important. And I don't know why it's upped so much, but
are you blocking them?
I count them as spam, but I feel like that's futile. Is that the right word? This is pointless.
Futile?
Yeah, because they never call from the same number. Yeah. It's like a new number each time. So if anybody else out there is going through the struggle with me,
I got a bunch, but only on one day, and then
they
stopped.
I wish I had just one day. It has been every day. Oh, see, Brian says, yep, last 4 days. Yep, see, he says he blocks every one of them. It doesn't matter. It's true, man. I feel like it actually makes them, like, it challenges them. Like, oh, you're going to block me? Try blocking this number and this number. It's terrible. Anyways.
Someone else called?
Oh.
That's terrible.
Well, Brian, if you choose to answer and mess with them, please record it so that we can hear it, because I would love to hear that. Anyways, let's get into what we're going to talk about today, which is the importance of having an email newsletter, especially right now during these times. I think we've talked to you guys before, and we tell a lot of our clients too, like how important it is. We try to encourage them to do email newsletters, and it's usually met with, and I would have said the same thing too, because like she told me we needed to do a newsletter.
Rachel told us.
Oh, that's right. This is the second time I've told this story, and the second time I have not given Rachel the due credit. But our business coach told us that we need to do an email newsletter, and I was like, but nobody's going to read that thing. Like, I get newsletters all the time, and I just throw them to spam folder and stuff, and I don't want to spam people. But I'm so glad that she convinced us to do it, because it's been so helpful and so good. And we'll explain to you how we do it. But more importantly, why for nonprofits it's so important to do an email newsletter and not just only rely on social media. So I'm going to turn it over to Jamie because she is the one who is going to get bored listening to me talk. So I hope my intro was short enough where she hasn't lost interest. So, um, anyways, if you wonder why I talk faster and faster in these things, it's because I don't want her to get. I don't want to talk anymore because you bored me to death. So, but I want to say so much. So when we tell our clients like to do an email newsletter, I mean, you understand why they feel like, it's not that important, right? But why? I think if they let us explain why it's important, what are the reasons why we push so hard to, especially for nonprofits, to start or really build your newsletter? Because you might already do an email newsletter, but you might just, or you might be doing a mail, like an actual like physical mailed newsletter. We're specifically talking about email newsletters. So why is that?
So I think what we're seeing right now is that with all the changes that Facebook is making, like because they're having a really bad reputation problem right now, and they're also doing like this war with Apple about privacy things, and it's just really weird right now in the social media um, area. And I think people or businesses and nonprofits are losing a lot more control of their social media accounts. So before, I think, well, this has been a long time happening, but you would have a lot more organic reach with your posts, like people just seeing it because they like your page. But
Yeah.
it's always changing. Like I'm in some different groups, like for marketing for nonprofits, other groups on Facebook, and people are running into a lot of problems with like their organic reach is down by like 20,000 views, or they don't know what happened and they didn't do anything, and or like people getting their accounts shut down on Facebook or Instagram and they didn't do anything wrong, they didn't have any warning, they just lose control of their account and then their account gets deleted, so they have to start over.
Which is super scary. She told me a specific story recently. What somebody in the group told, where how many years had they been
10
doing?
years.
They had
They've
their
been
account
on
for
for
10 years,
10 years.
and they were posting the same way, same kind of content. Like they didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, how was it that they discovered it was just they couldn't log in or anything, or
They didn't say how they found out.
but they couldn't get any answers from
So
Facebook.
Facebook is kind of notorious for not giving any support.
Yeah.
And even Instagram, like when our client was getting scammed or they got their profile imitated and then that whoever was pretending to be them was trying to get money from people who followed them.
Yeah, it's
and
super
Instagram
shady.
didn't respond to anything, so they don't give any support.
Yeah. And so I think what we're, and even if you're fortunate enough where they don't like delete your account for no reason or whatever, just the reach that your that nonprofits pages are having is lessening, it seems like. Because even um, because I think something that people don't realize, and we've talked about this before, but I was just talking to somebody and she was like floored. She had no idea that, she thought if someone follows you and likes you, that they see all of your posts, like all of your posts
Oh,
go on
really?
their news feed. She didn't realize that
Oh.
Instagram or Facebook really is determining how many of your followers' news feeds that they place your posts on. So I think a lot of organizations probably have that same misconception where they think, hey, we've got 2,000 followers, so our reach is 2,000. If you actually look at how many your posts reach, it's most likely like under 100. Like we monitor a
Yeah.
lot of our clients' reach, and it's a
It's because
small
they want you to
fraction.
pay for it.
Yeah,
They're pushing for pages to pay for reach.
yeah. See, and Brian just confirmed that. He says that he spends so much on Facebook marketing because
Yeah.
that's the best way to get traffic to their events
Yeah.
and trainings. But if he doesn't pay, then Facebook don't play. And that's really what it was. I think
Yeah.
that was the plan all along. Like Facebook was really useful for everybody in the beginning, is free. And so this kind of like the drug deal, like here's a free taste. And now that you're hooked on it and you've built this following and you're losing that reach, they're like, well, you can reach them, but pay for these boosts, pay for these campaigns. And it's like, oh yeah, let me go shell out all this money, you know? And then that's their business market. So that's why having a newsletter, you control it. Like you're not at the mercy of another organization and stuff. If you have these people subscribe to your newsletter and you send out your newsletter, it goes to their email no matter um, if you paid or not, right?
Yeah. And you don't have the list of your subscribers. Like as a Facebook page, I don't think you can. Can you see everybody that liked you? I don't think you can. But with your mailing list, you have the list of people. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Instagram you sort of do, but it's not their real names.
Oh yeah.
So that's not that helpful. But yeah.
And so with these newsletters, I think people have this misconception that nobody reads newsletters anymore. And Brian even commented on here that like he reads our newsletters and stuff. So thanks for disproving my theory in the beginning that no one would read it. But I think if you have a newsletter that has intention and is built for engagement and for the audience in mind versus trying to spam them. Like the newsletters that I see that go straight to spam folder for me is like always trying to sell me something, or that it's just real generic stuff all the time. Like there's no value to me, whether it's information or just personal. Like I want to know what's going on with this.
I think the thing that got newsletters a bad name is that when businesses and nonprofits first started doing them, they were doing it based off of their print newsletter. So it's like really long with like a lot of information in it, and it's kind of not that easy to skim because it has like the columns with like lots of text in it.
Yeah.
And that's not how people do email. Like my emails, I rather they're as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at some of the newer look of email, it's easier to publish and it's easier to read, and it's more likely that people will look at it.
Yeah, because I think you got to look at it as far as your own personal experience too. Like when you're going through your email, if you see Emmett says hello, guys. We just talked to an animal communicator the other night. Sorry, sidebar. And we are asking her about like, because we had built kind of like a front grass area for Emmett to pee at. That's covered. That when
it's
it rains,
gazebo.
Yeah.
Oh. We spent thousands of dollars to put turf and a gazebo so that they could pee somewhere when it's raining.
Yeah, so that he wouldn't get muddy and gross.
Thousands of dollars.
And while it's a beautiful gazebo area that is wonderful, the other one, Nato, she has no problem peeing in that area. This guy will hold it in and wait until it's too long, and then he'll wait till he go back inside the house, and then he'll pee on the door as if like, I want to go outside but I can't, so I'm going to pee on this door. So we asked the pet communicator, like, can you ask Emmett, like tell him like he can pee on the outside in the gazebo and stuff like that, and ask him what we need to do to make him feel comfortable to go there. And he's telling her that he thinks it's weird and he understands that it's for him, but it's just too weird. And he's like, why can't you take me for a walk? And I said, and so I told her to tell him, like, because it's going to make you all muddy and dirty and the rain's going to get you all soaking wet. And he goes, I don't mind. And I said, I mind because I got to clean you up. And he goes, thanks for doing this, but I'd rather you just take me out for a walk in the rain. So I was like, oh, fine. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the
Hi,
newsletter.
Jill.
Oh, Jill's here. Yeah, Jill witnessed the
Drama.
gazebo, and Nato has no problem peeing or throwing up in the gazebo, but we wash it. Don't worry. Um, anyways, yeah, Brian's asking animal intuitive. Is that what it means?
Yeah,
Okay, yes. All I know is she
she's awesome.
talks to the dogs for us. um, but with these newsletters, yeah, before when people would make those printed, mailed out physical newsletters, it was just like newspapers, like people would sit back and look for things to, take time and read, like a short little newspaper article or whatever. And so they were built like that. But if you're looking at yourself and when you're going through emails, now email is so like it's common for people to have like 40 emails, within an hour and stuff. So whatever you get in that email, it better be quick and to the point because we're quick to delete, right? Well, so that's why if you're sending out email newsletters that are just like super long and stuff and built similar to how the old printed newsletters were, people will just be, oh, this is for everyone. They'll see the little scroll bar on the right side of the screen, like, this is a long email. No time for that. Delete. So, what Jamie's been doing is when she writes our newsletters or for our clients, we focus on maybe like one main thing. And even at that, we try to still keep it short. Like it's not like a long soliloquy, but it's like, here's the focus of this email. And then maybe one or two little short highlights of other things that we're trying to talk about or to send them to. And that's it. And I would say that, for our experience, like, from what the responses we've been getting, that the readers enjoy that style of newsletter, and people who, because our newsletter is like, we always wonder like, is this going to be interesting to anybody? And but we try really hard to keep the reader in mind, um, while still pushing forward whatever information we need. And everybody's responses so far is like they enjoyed and such. And that's what you want your newsletter for your nonprofit organization to do, is keep that conversation going. This is the newsletter is mainly, instead of being a message board of trying to sell them something, it's basically keeping the wave of communication going between you and your sponsors, donors, supporters, because how you would have done that before was through social media. They're not seeing it anymore, and they might not, you know, if you get deleted and whatnot. So this is your way of keeping that connection and relationship going with your supporters out there.
I think some people are getting worried because of the Apple changes, so open rates are not going to be accurate anymore. So Apple is updating their privacy policy so that now on your newsletter open rates, it's just going to say that anybody who's on an iPhone opened the email. So that is not going to be accurate.
It's going to inflate their numbers.
Yeah, your numbers are going to be inflated. So it'll look good, but then you'll also know that it's not right. But I think like all of that, it's nice to keep track of your stats like that, and it is good to know, but it shouldn't be a game changer for you in terms of putting focus on or pulling focus from your newsletter, because that's your newsletter is still the best place to reach people, and it's the only thing that you can control. So
Yeah, we were talking to somebody who built a pretty decent newsletter mailing list, but they were just focusing on the stats, and they're like, okay, we see that the open rates are you know average and consistent with the national open rates and whatnot, but I don't know, is it working? Like, is it doing anything? Like, I don't know if we've actually gotten any kind of like direct relation to like donations or whatever, like tangible things that they wanted out of it. And it was almost, they were starting to go down that path of like, maybe we don't do this newsletter anymore. I mean, it's nice that we have this large subscription base and they apparently are opening it, but I don't know, is it even worth it if it's not getting us donations or whatnot. But they also didn't have anything in place to find out if the donations were coming from, things that they were reading from the news. They didn't have
I don't
anything in
think we need
place.
to go down this path.
But the point of it is that it was scary for us to think that they would want to not do their newsletter because of that. Um, because, like Jamie said, like this is the safest, most surefire way of staying connected with your audience. So, for that reason alone, you don't want to let go of this or not pursue email newsletter because there's a very realistic possibility that that could be the only way you can
Yeah.
reach them at some point, right?
If you need to keep track, if you need metrics to track, then set something up, like make a link that only goes from the newsletter to your website, and then track that link about the clicks from there, or like be intentional about having links that you want people to click on so that you can track the click rate rather than the open rate. But if you're not always having something in there that you want people to click on, then you can't really track the click rate because you're not trying to make people click on anything.
Yeah.
So if you have to have some kind of metric for like your funders or whatever, then think about setting something up in your newsletter, but don't abandon your newsletter.
Yeah.
And just try to think about how to make it better to make sure that people are opening it and finding something interesting in there.
Yeah, we did it silly, but uh, everyone loves to end our news, the ending of our newsletters. We always have a word from the beans. We have a silly dog pictures and silly captions. Like that's a nice way to make them like, oh, I went through all that, but at least I got a little smile on my face. That's what I like to believe. But yeah, do you guys have any thoughts or questions in regards to this? I think the real focus for this was we wanted to hopefully explain the relevance and importance of why having an email newsletter for nonprofits is so essential and important. And I feel like not too many organizations uh, understand that or believe
Focus
in
on
that.
it.
Yeah.
I think they might do like one a quarter because they want to put like a lot of content in there and build it up like how the print newsletter was. But I think just knowing that it can be short, but it's better to have frequency, because when people hardly ever hear from you, they're probably not going to open it. And then they're going to be like, oh, I'll open it later because I know there's a lot of stuff in there. And then it's just going to go to the bottom of their inbox and they'll never open it. So if you have a regular frequency, like once or twice a month, and have it be short, then it can be a good backup for your social media in case one day you just lose your account.
Yeah. There's a newsletter that I guess I'm subscribed to. I didn't ask to subscribe; they just put me on there, but which you're not supposed to do. But anyways, I was fine with staying on it because they would do it every. It would be bi-weekly, but it's like the same, like every Monday, every other Monday, and the content of it was like this: is digestible short pieces, and um, it got to the point where because it was like frequent like that, I stopped reading the subject line, and I would just it was like I was conditioned to open it every time I got just to like. Sometimes I would just skim through it just to see if there's anything that stands out. But then other times when I had time or something caught my eye, I would go through the whole thing in detail. But I think to Jamie's point, like having that frequency, just kind of like Pavlovian kind of thing. Like I was just conditioned to open it, and the other day I was going through it and I was like, why do I open this newsletter? Because there's actually not really anything like relevant or interesting to me as far as like professionally or personally, but I enjoyed, reading it and stuff. And it was just something that I just automatically would open, just like, well, it's here. Okay, what's going on with these people? So You can do that. Brian said he added me to this because I'm kind of yeah. So yeah, Brian, I would have subscribed to your newsletter anyway. So.
You can add me too.
Speaking of which, Brian, I'm probably going to be sending somebody, referring somebody, an organization to you to see if maybe you might be able to partner.
You should talk to them first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind, Brian. Disregard what I just said. But maybe someday I might refer someone to you to talk story, and
God.
Who knows, something cool might come of it. Anyways, anything else about newsletters? I guess.
I just want to emphasize not to put all your eggs in the social media basket.
Yes. Yeah, if there's anything the one thing we want you to take away from this is to really take seriously that concern of just relying and holding everything into that.
But use social media to push people to your newsletter.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, so explain that a little bit.
So you use social media because social media has the biggest reach. Mm-hmm. So you can start building a relationship with people there and get them interested in what you're doing, but always make the purpose be to get them onto your newsletter list because you're not guaranteed to keep your social media. So once you get their attention, do whatever you can to get them on your newsletter.
And not to go too deep into this, but instead of it just being like, I would imagine when I hear that, if I was an organization, I'd be like, oh, let me just put on a post. Hey guys, sign up for my newsletter. But that's probably going to get you very little results, right? So what would an example of how you could, try to funnel people from social media to your newsletter?
So Jill just mentioned looking forward to the Hiko newsletter because they always had a good recipe. So like if you're doing that, you could post a tease for the recipe. Like Hiko could have like the picture of the food and then like click here for the newsletter and then that goes to or click here for the recipe and then the recipe is on like one of those, it's called a freebie thing. So then they have to enter their email to get the recipe. Lost my train of thought. Or you could, like on Instagram, you just have that link. You're only allowed to have one link in your bio. That link could go to, you could make a landing page on your website that is designed to get people on your newsletter. So have more information on that page about like what is in your newsletter and why it's so awesome to subscribe. And please enter your email here because those people are interested in you because they're clicking on a link in your bio. And I think nonprofits are different from sales things because people are they want to find out more about you and they want to know what you're doing. So you have that going for you in getting people on there. So link in the bio.
Yeah, and just having a creative, I guess, draw to get their attention because like for Jill's example, like I'm sure if Hiko were to go, hey, we're the electric company, sign up for a newsletter, she would be like, why? So I can learn what's new about energy? Like I don't care about that. But when she saw that there's these good recipes as part of it, it's just like, I mean, that's not the focus of the newsletter, obviously, but it's just a little thing to tag in there. But that draws the traffic there. And then while they have you there, they go, oh, and by the way, here's what's new in, electric vehicle news and stuff like that. So same thing for your organization. Like you can, like what we did is we created like a tips sheet, like a cheat sheet of tips on how you could better use Zoom or stuff like that. Things that are helpful and useful. So when we posted it on social media, it said, hey, if you want to download this free, guide sheet, just sign up for our newsletter and it'll be sent to you. And we got tons of subscriptions that way. So, I mean, these are just different ways other than just going like, hey, sign up for our newsletter. And then going like, how come nobody's signing up for it? So there's different ways. Plus the other way that was effective for me is like, I had my list of contacts their email addresses and stuff, I would email them directly and just say, "Hey, got this cool new newsletter that fun little things here and there," and just kind of incentivize them with like what they could be expecting. And I said, "Would you mind if I add you to our newsletter?" And most of the time they go, "Sure." And then if they didn't really want to, they would just like unsubscribe afterwards. But uh, I haven't seen, knock on wood, very many unsubscribes. So I think people like the newsletter so far. And Jill said, finding something relative to your company is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want it to be like totally off brand, like that you're going to post stuff as the draw, which has nothing to do with your company.
But like mental health, you could make like a list of tips for mental health, keeping good how do you say this? Being good for your mental health. Like things to do in the pandemic is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah,
that are good for your mental health.
See what happens when you try to use fancy words? Just simplify it like me and just.
I couldn't even think of the regular words. Yeah, but something relevant.
Yeah, that'd actually be really good. But they already have the news. Oh, well, you could always build your newsletter, right? So as far as your subscriber base.
Yeah.
Yeah, wellness practices. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brian, Jamie didn't eat yet, so just a little defense for her. But yeah, so I think you guys get the idea. I hope you do. Thanks, Jill, for that great example. That was perfect. And then Brian, thanks for signing me up for our newsletter. And I see there's other viewers here that we haven't seen in the chat, but thank you to you as well for joining. I hope this was helpful. This is something that we really feel strongly about, and it's, I think, really important. So I hope explaining it at least makes some sense to you, and that you'll consider it if you're not already doing it.
Especially now, because things are getting crazy.
Yeah.
With social media.
Yeah, when she told me that story about that organization that after 10 years got their account.
And it's happening deleted. A lot. Like people are posting this kind of stuff in those groups often.
Yeah. I when she told me that, I was like freaking out, like, oh, what if that happens to us?
Yeah.
And I would feel really upset about that. But knowing that we have the newsletter and that connection, it's like, okay, well, at least we have that. And I would say we probably have, I think we get way more like communication from the newsletter than we do on any post we put on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. And meaningful messages to us. So that's really cool. So something to think about. If you guys have any questions, want any more, suggestions or need further explanation, as always, you can email us at info@popcm.me. We don't have our cool graphics because the kids are using our cool computer, but you can always, if you can't remember that, just throw it in the comment section here in this post and just tell us, hey, reach out to me. I have a question, and we can help you out. But thanks for joining us on this non-traditional Thursday edition of Pop Live. If there's subjects that you want us to talk about in future episodes, please, by all means, let us know. Like, we have things we want to talk about, but we also would love to hear what you want to talk about. And it doesn't have to even be stuff that, like, if you want it just to be an open discussion, and you want to hear what other people have to say, like, we can always work it out where we can bring on guests too that can talk about these questions and subjects that you have in mind. So yeah, just send them on over. Let us know. All right. As you can see, Emmett is passed out. And so I think that is our sign for we've talked long enough. But thanks, guys, for joining us. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.